Good morning. My name is Chris Allgood. I am the Chief of Police of the Caldwell Police Department. And we had an officer-involved shooting last night. Last night, it actually would have been Sunday night at about 11:37 p.m. Caldwell officers responded to a call of a disturbance in the 700 block of North Indiana here in Caldwell. This was reported to us as violence in progress. The officers, the first officer arriving walked towards the house and was immediately met by a vehicle coming at him at a high speed. That officer, believing that the vehicle was trying to run him down, fired his weapon at that car and was able to get out of the way. The vehicle continued out of the driveway and onto the roadway, where it ran head-on into another responding police car. And at that point, the driver got out of the vehicle and fell to the ground. The driver was wounded. Officers immediately provided first aid on the scene, called for medics, and that man was taken to a local hospital. As soon as Caldwell police staff were notified that we had had an officer-involved shooting, we instigated a critical incident task force investigation, and officers from the Idaho State Police, Nampa Police Department, Canyon County Sheriff's Office, Homedale Police, Wilder Police, all converged here at the police department, and we started that investigation, which is continuing as we speak. Officers, when they respond to cases of in-progress family fights, those kind of things, they know that it's a dangerous situation. Often emotions are very high, violence has taken place, alcohol or drugs could be involved, so officers are very careful when responding to those situations. And in this case, it very possibly saved an officer's life. The Nampa Police Department is the lead investigating agency in this case. Chief Kingsbury will answer questions from here forward.
Thank you, Chief Allgood. As Chief Allgood said, my name is Craig Kingsbury. I'm the Chief of Police of the Nampa Police Department. The Nampa Police Department is the lead agency in this investigation into this critical incident. What I can tell you is that a 40-year-old resident of Caldwell was struck by gunfire and was injured, and is currently being treated at a Boise hospital with what we understand at this time are non-life-threatening injuries. The investigation into this incident, as I'm sure you are aware, will take a long time. When we have an incident of this magnitude and the Critical Incident Task Force converges to conduct the investigation, we want to make sure that we give the proper amount of time to thoroughly comb the area in which this occurred, looking for any evidence, to speak with any witnesses, to interview the involved officers and any other involved people. At this time, I would stand for some questions.
Chief, how many times was this individual shot?
Ruth, at this time, we don't know that. I don't know the answer to that question.
Do you know how many rounds were fired?
No, we don't. This is early in the investigation, so we won't be elaborating on, quite frankly, I don't know the number of rounds that were fired. I don't know how many officers fired rounds. Those are all things that this investigation will attempt to figure out.
What were the names of the suspect and the officer?
At this time, we're not going to release any names. This is an ongoing investigation. Names will not be released today.
How are the officers?
I do not know as to the officer's condition. They were not injured. Do you have a question over here?
Officer, a sergeant, or
The
individual?
Again, I don't know the answers to those questions, so we'll figure all those out as the investigation goes. Over here?
Did the man live at the house?
Yes, it's my understanding he lived at the house.
Was there anybody else in the house at the time?
Yes, there were other folks in the house. As Chief Allgood stated, it was a call of domestic violence in progress, what the officers were responding to.
How many people were in the house?
I don't know the answer to that.
Does the Caldwell Police Department have body cameras?
The Caldwell Police Department, their officers do not wear body cameras. However, their officers do carry, as a normal procedure, audio recordings devices, as well as the Caldwell Police vehicles have dash-mounted cameras. So the investigators from the CITF will be viewing those and listening to the audio recordings that the officers were wearing.
Who reported the domestic disturbance?
I do not know the answer to that. Again, this is very early on, so I don't know if it was reported by somebody in the home or a neighbor.
Was anyone injured in the domestic disturbance?
Again, this is an ongoing investigation. Nobody was hospitalized as a result of the domestic situation, is my understanding.
Do we know if this man has any past of acting violent?
I don't know that. This is all part of the investigation. I know you guys have a lot of questions, and this will take a long time to figure out, so at least a few days to figure this out. As you know, what will happen if any criminal charges, and what the CITF does is it's going to look at both the domestic violence incident that occurred prior to the officers arriving. So the members of the task force will look at that. They will work closely with the Canyon County Prosecuting Attorney's Office to make any determinations if there's any crimes committed at that point in time. They will also look at the actual incident where the officers discharged their weapons. And they will then work with the Canyon County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, or, as oftentimes happens, a conflict prosecuting attorney's office to make any determinations if any crimes were committed by any of the parties during that incident, whether it was this individual who was struck, or, quite frankly, or even the police officers themselves.
I just want to verify, when you say he attempted to hit the police officer was on the street, not attempted to hit him in his car.
It's my understanding, Ruth, that the officer was out of his patrol car. The very first officer was on foot.
Was the officer able to, like, yell anything or talk to the individual who ended up being shot?
Sir, I don't know the answer to that question. The officers have not been interviewed as of yet.
Have the officers been put on paid administrative leave or anything?
I'll have to ask Chief Cole with that question.
Yes, the officers are on standard leave as they would in any case for a brief amount of time until we at least get the basics of this investigation completed.
You said officers, plural.
And that's the 2 officers?
There's a number of officers that ended up at the scene that we'll be interviewing and working with. We're not going to say how many, but
I think what Shane and I were asking is a number of officers were at the scene, yes. How many of them were put on admin leave?
All of them.
well, we're
The
not
ones
giving a
that were-
number,
yeah,
is what I'm saying.
The officers that were at the scene during the incident have been, as Chief Hogan mentioned, put on administrative leave as a standard protocol. Dean?
Chief Alkin, you might be able to answer this. Have any of your officers responded to this home before for a domestic disturbance of any kind?
That again is something that we need to do background on, and that is being done, but I can't respond to that this early.
All right. Thank you, folks, very much.
I have one more.
Yes, Ruth.
Will there be a health status released later today on the individual, so they're not life-threatening?
Oh, no, we're not going to discuss his medical condition. We don't. So, yeah, other than what we have. Other than non-life-threatening. And that's the information that I have right now, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you.